Baptisms for the dead in the navel of the world. Let's consider the temple practice of baptisms for the dead, which is particularly instructive of the astronomical ordinances we have been describing. Since the greatest antiquity, temples were thought to be the navel of the world. Temples are designed to connect the three worlds, namely, 1. The water-covered underworld, or the telestial kingdom, which is the kingdom to which the sun cannot directly administer because it is night, or underwater. 2. The earth, or terrestrial kingdom. And 3. Heaven, or the celestial kingdom. One should imagine an umbilical cord running through and connecting the three worlds. The site of that connection, the navel, is the baptismal font, because it symbolizes the connection to the mother tree. The Milky Way is a tree of life that reaches into heaven and vaults across the sky, while its roots turn into rivers and seas, overflowing the world of the dead. The font is set up below ground, so that when the initiate is immersed in the water, she is ritualistically buried in the ground, or she becomes a momentary traveler in the underworld. The baptismal font sits on the back of 12 oxen. As we have said, the oxen represent the terrestrial world on the whole. The 12 oxen represent the 12 tribes of Israel, yes, but that's too limiting. At a more correct level, they represent the 12 kingdoms of the zodiac. The sun, soul, traverses each of these houses, mansions, or kingdoms daily, providing its influence during every hour, much as it systematically governs each month of the year and presides over the various kingdoms of the zodiac in succession. The following long quote begins with recognizing the light of Christ as symbolically dispensed through the sun, and then the quote commences to acknowledge the sun's administrations in each of the 12 zodiacal kingdoms, which is to say, all the kingdoms of the earth and through all time. Quote, "The earth rolls upon her wings, and the sun, sol, giveth his light by day, and the moon, luna, giveth her light by night. And the stars also give their light, as they roll upon their wings in their glory, in the midst of the power of God. Unto what should I liken these kingdoms, that ye may understand? Behold, all of these are kingdoms, and any man who hath seen any of the least of these hath seen God moving in his majesty and power. I say unto you, he hath seen him. Nevertheless, he who came unto his own was not comprehended. The light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not, the telestial kingdom, which is nighttime. Nevertheless, the day shall come when you shall comprehend even God, being quickened in him and by him. Then shall ye know that ye have seen me, that I am, and that I am the true light that is in you, and that you are in me. Otherwise ye could not abound. Behold, I will liken these kingdoms unto a man having a field. And he sent forth his servants into the field, to dig in the field, or the terrestrial world represented on the whole by Taurus, the cattle or oxen. And he said unto the first, Go ye, and labor in the field, and in the first hour I will come unto you, that ye shall behold the joy of my countenance. And he said unto the second, Go ye also into the field, and in the second hour I will visit you with the joy of my countenance. And also unto the third, saying, I will visit you, and unto the fourth, and so on, unto the 12th. And the Lord of the field went unto the first in the first hour, or Capricorn, and tarried with him all that hour, and he was made glad with the light of the countenance of the Lord. And then he withdrew from the first, that he might visit the second, Sagittarius, and also the third, Scorpio, and the fourth, Libra, and so on until the 12th, Aquarius. And thus they all received the light of the countenance of the Lord. Every man in his hour, and in his time, and in his season, beginning at the first, Capricorn, and so on unto the last, Aquarius, and from the last unto the first, and from the first unto the last. every man in his own order, until his hour was finished, even according as his Lord had commanded him, that his Lord might be glorified in him, and he in his Lord, that they all might be glorified. Therefore, unto this parable I will liken all these kingdoms, and the inhabitants thereof, every kingdom in its hour, and in its time, and in its season, even according to the decree which God hath made. And again, verily I say unto you, my friends, I leave these sayings with you to ponder in your hearts, with this commandment which I give unto you, that ye shall call upon me while I am near. That's from Doctrine and Covenants, section 88, verses 45 to 62, parentheses added. The coming of this Son to his kingdom is nowhere plainer and more glorious than in the culminating verses of the New Testament itself, when Christ comes to Aquarius, the last of the 12 kingdoms of this great age. The verses in Revelation begin with the mention of the throne of God and of the Lamb, which is the celestial kingdom ruled over by the constellation Leo, who has been joined by the nearby constellation of Leo Minor, or the Lamb. Then notice how Cancer, the Milky Way of Asherah, the great mother tree, is referred to as a pure river of water of life, the street, and the tree of life, who bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month, or the zodiac. Quote, and he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lamb. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there a tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of God and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. And they shall see his face, and his name shall be on their foreheads. And there shall be no night there, and they need no candle, neither light of the sun. For the Lord God giveth them light, and they shall reign forever and ever. End quote from Revelation 22. The mixed metaphor or multivalent nature of the Milky Way tree of life, dividing the celestial and terrestrial kingdoms, as if by a veil, or a river, or a tree, a highway, a fountain, or a column, is made even more evident later on in the same section 88 mentioned above, when, quote, they also shall be caught up to meet him in the midst of the pillar of heaven. They are Christ's, the first fruits. End quote. We recall that Orion, the good shepherd, stands at the veil with his right arm raised. His raised arm is in similitude of the Milky Way, rising behind and above him. Because the baptism is being performed for the dead in a temple font, or Milky Way fountain, the baptizer is Orion, with upraised arm, standing in the veil, or Milky Way River, Jordan, while the constellation Gemini, the 2 olive tree witnesses mentioned above, bear witness of the ordinance from the heavenly side of the veil. If the ordinance were performed to mirror the ordinances of heaven on earth, even more exactly, the pair of Gemini witnesses would be standing with the water up to their shins in the baptismal font with Orion and the initiate. We speculate that if there is a corresponding temple in the celestial kingdom, at the other end of the umbilical cord, the celestial font does not sit on the backs of oxen, but on the backs of lions.